and welcome to the Boopcast, episode 41. We are your hosts, SheNoob and...
Cory.
And Skype just told me you came online. That's awkward.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Weird.
Yes. Someone's a fake.
Anywho, we are discussing Chapter 12 this week with our very special returning guest to the Boopcast, Mr. Jeremiah George.
Hello, everyone. Hi. Is this the part where I introduce myself or some sort of thing?
Yes, it is.
Cool. For those who don't know me, I'm called Jeremiah George. Sometimes go by McTricky as well. I am a video game composer, mostly known in the Ruby community as the one who does the Kingdom Hearts sounding Ruby battle arrangements, orchestral stuff. Haven't done a Ruby arrangement in a while, but with season 6 or volume 6 wrapping up, I've got a few ideas for a couple of new ones. But yeah, that's basically what I do in the Ruby community, I suppose. Yeah.
You've been a busy man with your game, I imagine. So.
Yes. Working on a little RPG.
Yes, Jerry is producing an RPG called Palaceal Quest. So you can check him out.
You pronounced it right.
Yes. Well, I've been keeping very close eye on the development of the game because I'm excited to play it when it comes out. So,
thank you.
But you can check him out on his social medias there at those links in the chat. So yeah, my notes are not open. That's great. Let me grab them really quick. I do have them at least, so we're off to a great start.
One thing we usually do is we discuss the rewind, but for some reason the live stream of the rewind is not archived on Rooster Teeth's site.
It's not on the
right
site,
now,
so we're not sure why, but no rewind discussion this week because obviously we didn't catch the live stream. But yeah. You held yourself back a week, now we can all gush over Yang and Blake stabbing Edgelord Faunus Magneto to death. Okay, we will definitely talk about that, but at the end. Because I assume we'll want to spend some time on that topic. Okay, so, yeah, Chapter 12 was amazing. Awesome follow-up to Chapter 11. So it's interesting the way they're doing these last few chapters has been different from the last couple of volumes, because definitely Volume 5, probably chapters 11 through to 14 were a comprehensive unit of finale stuff going on. But in this case, the chapters 10 to 12 seem to be one sort of arc of the story, and now chapter 13 is going to be its own separate unit, which is interesting, but we know that they originally planned on doing 14 chapters, so it makes sense in a way, because now they've consolidated chapters 13 and 14 into one. So they obviously want to do the very last section of the story in the final chapter, and we're expecting a long one. So we'll see. We'll see how the runtime goes with that. If the thumbnail and all that is made available during this podcast, which it probably won't be, but if it is, make sure to let us know in the chat. No discussion of the IGN Chapter 13 preview. Definitely not. And no discussion of the Chapter 13 preview from the Ruby Rewind either. It's so weird. I can see the live stream on Jerry's laptop. I'm like...
Unless I move some stuff on my desk, the laptop's going to be there.
It's not playing though, so it's fine. Oh, it is playing. Okay. Well, I couldn't tell what it was. Yes, he did. So Jeremiah George makes some amazing orchestral battle arrangements of the Ruby soundtrack, which are my favourite thing ever. So definitely go and check him out on YouTube because they're amazing. And he makes his own original songs as well. And like I said, he's developing a RPG, which I've been following very closely, and it's looking really good, and I really, really want to play it when it comes out. So
whenever it does.
Whenever it does. When it's ready.
Yeah, game development. Oh boy.
Yeah, well, yeah. So yeah, Chapter 12. So we start off pretty much where we left off once again. Except I like that they took us into like the control room back at the base where like everybody's watching the fight on a screen like it's some kind of football match or something.
I was literally like, where is this camera that they are watching from? Like,
right?
It's hovering in the ocean.
I know. There's literally like a camera floating in the air somewhere that's apparently cloaked because it's just not there. But
yeah.
it's just dumb thing, but
I think they're actually watching last week's episode.
That's what they're doing. They're watching it on roosterteeth.com. So I found that really funny, but my favorite thing maybe that Cordovan says ever is the way that she pronounces children in this line.
Children.
You had to bring in children. Cracks me up. It's just funny to me. But
I'm not entirely sure what accent she's trying to portray.
Children. I don't know. Creepy old lady accent. I don't know. She's just
the tinge of
authoritarian old lady.
Cordo's hilarious in more ways than one. She is, but she was really starting to irritate me in this episode because her commentary is just. I'm just like, ugh. You are the most stereotypical character.
It's a bit hammy.
Ever. It's very hammy. So we had a lot of discussion last week about our predictions for this chapter, and I think that it unfolded pretty much exactly the way we predicted. The only thing that differed between... I love this title, yes.
I know.
The only difference we sort of had was... I thought they were going to maybe destroy the mech, but Cory, you called it with destroying the cannon.
Yeah.
I did not...
And I'm still waiting for the one-armed wrestle I talked about.
The one-armed wrestle. But like we said last week, we know what's going to happen in chapter 12, but we don't know how it's going to happen and how it's going to unfold. And it definitely didn't unfold the way I expected at all. Hello, new guest. Yes, our new guest is Jerry. Oh, Cory. Damn it! Cory, stop moderating!
I'm being a better mod than you.
Stop! When I think nobody was surprised when they saw that little blip pop up on the radar, and I'm glad that they showed that right at the start of the chapter to be like, yes, you are all right. There's a big grim on the way. You knew it. Whatever.
Also, one thing I talked about with Dodge on one of my streams was that earlier in chapter 7, when there were all those movie posters in the front of that theater, like all of them were important, so I knew that there was the one that seemed to not have any significance was going to be important, and it was called like Demon from the Deep or something like that.
Was it really?
Yeah. I could go back through my notes because I wrote them all down, but yeah, there was definitely something about like, a creature from the deep.
Talk about on
nice
the nose.
Bit of foreshadowing.
Cory thinks the Boopcast title is on the nose, but talk about on the nose, my goodness me. I mean, it is on the nose, but
Demon of the Deep.
I literally knew what I was going to call this Boopcast immediately after watching the episode. I was like, yeah, that's the one. So the thumbnail for this chapter was interesting because they waited an extra 10 hours to release the thumbnail, title, and description for this chapter.
It came out like 3 hours before the episode actually released. Something like that.
And that was really interesting, but the thumbnail happens in like literally the first 30 seconds of the episode. And I get that they probably struggled to find a thumbnail for this week that wasn't full of horrific spoilers. But the one that they chose is just super awkward and I hate it. It's not a good angle. It's just a bizarre angle and I don't know. I just hate the thumbnail.
Honestly, they should have just done that shot of Ruby with her scythe in the ground. Is what I feel like that would have been a better thumbnail.
Yeah, probably. But again, I can see where the struggle was for finding a thumbnail this week. You waited till 3 a.m. for that thumbnail. Well, you should not have done that. Ren is the absolute purest thing in the world. I just want to touch on that for 1 second, because when he sees Jean and Nora like limping up towards them and he's like, guys! I was like, oh my heart.
Oh yeah, he was brilliant, wasn't he?
That was so
Ren,
cute.
you poor little baby. Like, oh my goodness, I love him. Jean is absolutely wrecked after that fucking crazy stunt he pulled with his aura. But he's completely wrecked. So he's down and out for the count for now. He seemed to be okay later on in the episode, but he was able to run, but doesn't mean he's going to be able to fight. Ruby's lying here, practically staring down the barrel of her cannon. Nice foreshadow there, Rooster Teeth.
Yes.
Yeah. Gosh.
I mean, listen, it foreshadowed an event that happened literally
Like immediately
3 minutes later.
Yeah, I know, but like
Yeah.
and it's the thing is, it isn't foreshadowing until you've seen the episode all the way through, and then you go back and go, well, that was really on the nose, but I just didn't
Especially
know at the
'cause, like,
time.
It's also because it's just a common, like, phrase kind of a thing. Like, just be staring down the barrel. And,
Yeah.
Well...
Let's literally stare down the barrel, sure. Team Junior has been putting in that work. They've been putting in that work distracting the mech, and they're completely destroyed. Ren's the only one who's got an aura at this point, Ren and Crow. And, well, Oscar's, but he's just kind of there.
Oscar's not really doing anything.
Oscar's not
Oscar
doing
and Maria.
anything. He's crashing an airship, that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Crow was interesting to me in this chapter, because every time Ruby was going off to, like, do something, he was trying to stop her and trying to be like, hold on a second, slow down, like, what are you doing? Crow, let my girl work, okay? She knows what she's doing. She's fine. And, like, it kind of calls back to the previous episodes where Maria talks about not giving her enough credit and that kind of thing. She may only be a kid, but she does know what she's doing, and she is smart, so, and I get why Crow is concerned for her. Obviously, that's his niece, and he doesn't want to get killed, but, yeah, he's being the overbearing parent sort of type in this chapter.
Which is weird for Crow, honestly, from my perspective, I guess.
Yeah.
If you compare him now to the way he was before, when you first meet him in Volume 3, I think his sense of duty of care is like grown exponentially between his initial appearance and now.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like after this episode, Crow can finally trust Ruby and let her go. Well, we'll see what happens.
I don't know if because, well, we'll talk about that when we get to
we'll talk
that.
about it. Pishin says, without the specific semblance, he and Nora would have definitely died. I agree. I feel like if Jean hadn't pulled that move with his aura, that hit from the mech definitely would have killed Nora at the very least. Because as it was when they got hit, and he was amplifying both their auras, and both their auras broke. So, yeah, that was a hell of a punch. I absolutely adore Maria Calavera. Y'all know that already. But every single line she has absolutely steals the scene. She wasn't even in this shot, and she's stealing the scene. I've got one missile left, and I know exactly where I'm gonna stick it. Absolutely amazing. And, like, Cordovan's face when she hears that, just incredible. And
yeah.
Oscar being the entire fandom here when he says, "Are you too crazy?" Yes, they are, definitely. I mean, look around you, Oscar. Do you see what's happening? Maria's definitely nuts, but it's a good kind of nuts. So
it's a cashew kind of nuts.
I fucking hate you. Oh my gosh, I hate you so much right now. Leave the podcast. That's disgraceful.
Oh my god.
That is disgraceful. Maria steals every scene, even scenes she's in. Yeah, she does. So Ruby, like, holding her scythe out the side of this airship. I'm not surprised at all that Cordovan saw her. She wasn't exactly,
hiding.
She's a big red neon sign right next to a white airship. Like, come on, she's not gonna not see her. But I was surprised that she figured out what she was trying to do so quickly. Because
that was unlikely.
Yeah, I don't see Cordovan as being particularly smart. Look at what she's doing. So no smart person causes this kind of commotion.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. I think she could have realized, because the way that Maria, like, kind of goaded her into using her missiles, and then she sees Ruby aiming out the side, and she goes, "Oh crap! Protect the missiles."
She goated her. Listen, you get one horrific partner, I get one. One thing I loved about this episode was when they would cut away to everybody else reacting to what's going on. Just like everybody's like gasping like faces every time something went wrong. So when she missed the shot here, I loved that it like cut away to everybody going, "Oh crap." But I also love the way that they did the triple replay of the bullet ricocheting off the top of the missile launcher. To really send it home that, oops, she missed.
Yeah. And it's also just nice that they're, like, actually trying to think a little bit about, like, bullet physics again.
Yeah. Because that kind of went out the window for a good 5 volumes there. Yeah. Oscar clearly cannot fly an airship. Boy is not old enough to drive anything, so... but, like, Maria, when she's like, take control, I'm like, what is he gonna do? Crash it? Like, literally, that's all he can do, is just make sure it crashes on land and not in the ocean. I'm very surprised it didn't explode, so there's that. And even Oscar's like, we're still in one piece. And I'm like, with Crow around, that thing should be in 1,000,000 pieces.
Yeah.
Why? I didn't catch this until, like, the 3rd or 4th time watching it. But as the airship's, like, going down to crash, jeepers.
My dad's sick.
He's dying, apparently.
I know.
Oh, no.
When it was going down, Weiss, there's a shot of, like, the back of Crow and Weiss in the foreground, and she goes, no, as it's going down, and then she gasps when it crashes, and I was like, oh my god, that little no, the precious squirrel, it's so cute.
I mean, listen, the last time she saw an airship crash, like, somebody
She was
died.
on it.
Yeah.
She was on it. Someone died, yeah. Rip airship pilot.
Best boy.
Best boy. Koto's banting once again. She needs to shut the fuck up. Like, calling them apes, like, really? The smartest apes can't compete with the intelligence of man or some shit like that. I'm like, bitch, you are the same species. Like...
I was also like, you're literally 3 feet tall. Like, you aren't man, you are dwarf.
You are not man, you are hobbit. But yeah, I'm like, you're literally the same species. Like, oh my gosh, could this get any more, you know, she's just driving me nuts at this point.
High and mighty, and
I know, yeah.
I feel like they were running out of ways for her to insult people in like that kind of high and mighty way, so they were like, apes, you know, yeah.
Sure, totally. That's insulting and not a swear word. Let's go with it. For some reason, Maria's standing here, like, with her left eye, like, spinning around furiously and all the wires hanging out. Makes me laugh. I don't know why. It just looks so funny when she's just, like, bashing her eyes and, like, come on, and there's all these wires hanging out everywhere. This is just funny to me. But this next bit, when Crow reaches them... Oh, I didn't talk about Crow, like, randomly jumping off the cliff.
Oh, yeah.
That was a weird shot.
It was weird, right? So, like, I get that he needed, like, momentum to change into a bird, but, him just, like, running the wrong way from the airship crash to jump off the cliff to then fly the right way, I was like, this is really awkward looking. Like,
Yeah.
I was certainly like, where are you? Oh.
Yeah, that was my reaction too. Where are you going? Oh, okay.
Like, I get, like, every time he changes into a crow, like, usually there's some sort of, like, environmental veil for his transformation, but yeah, I was gonna say, like, the way he kind of, like, decided to run off the cliff to change to a bird, it was a bit unnecessary and a little jarring, I think.
Yeah, I was like, is he literally going to jump off the cliff right now? Like, where are you going, Crow? Now is not the time.
Stupid.
But yeah, when he gets to Ruby here and he, like, grabs her hand and says, Ruby, stop, and she turns around and looks at him. So there's been a lot of discussion in the fandom about, like, there's no way Crow wasn't thinking about Summer in that moment. Something that happened in the past, like, I feel like he, just his expression when she said, I need you to trust me, and like, his
even before that,
his hesitance to, like, let her go, there's been a lot of speculation that there was something happened in the past to do with Summer that was not necessarily similar, but he's being reminded of it in this moment. And I think that that's probably likely. I don't know how likely. I mean, we keep hoping and hoping for Team Stark sort of flashbacks or some kind of exposition to do with them, and it keeps not happening. So hopefully Volume 7, I know there are still people holding out hope for the finale, but there just isn't time. There just isn't time in the finale for anything like that. We've got a Grim invasion to deal with, so...
yeah. After episode 9, I gave up on, like, you know what, we'll deal with Stark next season. We've gotten a lot of other stuff this season.
Because, like, we've gotten so much other information this season as well, which is why I don't think they're gonna cram Team Stark into the final chapter. But,
it'll seem messy.
Yeah, so, definitely Volume 7, I will be keeping a lookout for that. They can't ignore it any longer, though. They've been ignoring it for too long, and keeping it from us for too long. So we need to know. We need to know what happened. Because obviously something big happened that split the team up, and we need to know more about Summer, and more about Raven, and just more about all of them in general.
I think a reason people are holding out hope for a Chapter 13 something related to Team Stark is so that way the Volume 7 character short could be a Team Stark character short, or a Summer character short or something.
I actually like the idea of a Team Stark character short. I think that would be a good way to touch on it before the volume starts, and then to lead into touching on it again during the volume.
Yeah. But the only reason I don't want that, if we haven't touched on it before that, is because I like the Summer reveal needs to happen, like, in the show. Like, I feel like it needs to happen in the show, and that's why I'm like, if they did it in a character short, it would feel weird.
It would feel weird, yeah, I agree. Popular fan theory, Crow's misfortune caused Summer's death. Yeah, this is a very popular theory, one that I have thought about quite a lot. It's definitely possible that Crow had something to do with Summer's death, but I have a different theory of my own, and that doesn't make sense with that theory. So, but I don't know. I just want to learn more about Summer, because at the end of Volume 3, when Tai Yang and Crow were in the same room, there was definite tension between the two of them. There was animosity there from something that's happened in the past, not necessarily recently, but there was definite tension between the two of them. And, like, just the look that Tai Yang gave him when he walked out of the room, I was like, ooh, what happened between you boys? Obviously, they're still on speaking terms, but, like, yes, something's going on there.
It was a lover's quarrel. It's fine.
Okay, sure. I mean, Ty screwed every other member of his team.
I know. Ty hasn't made his way through the whole team.
But that would be weird, because Crow's their uncle, okay? Ugh, incest.
Yeah.
You should never get between twins. It's just, it never ends well. Entire team, yes. So, when Ruby goes up against the mech here, Cordo's line of being like, surrender for your crimes and accept your punishment. I was like, really? You've literally been trying to kill them for the last 2 chapters. Like, you're asking them to surrender now? Come on. But Ruby had to know she was going to be like, nah, mate, I'm not doing that. She had to know, surely, that her little speech, which she's done for the 4th time this volume.
Yes.
Come on, Ruby. We get it, okay? Togetherness.
We get it. You're the leader.
We get it.
Monologues.
But she had to know that Cordo was not going to go in for that. And I feel like she does know it, though Ruby does kind of tend to hold out hope a lot, so she probably was holding on to the tiniest bit of hope that maybe Cordo would listen to her, but yeah, not likely. She was exploiting that. Yeah, I think Ruby was definitely expecting Cordo to do what she did, and she had a plan, so...
Because she didn't even flinch when she pointed the thing at her. She was just like... She, like, just stood there for a second and was like, really, bitch? And then did her thing.
Bye, Felicia. Okay, so... Again, throughout this entire chapter, I was never that concerned for the safety of any of the characters involved until this moment.
Until Ruby dove into the gun.
I had a heart attack when Ruby fucking dove into the cannon. I was like, what are you doing? You are going to die. Like, oh my gosh. And then, again, cutting to everyone's reactions. Crow's especially ripped my heart out. I was like, oh god. And
Oh.
like, if
I love
he-
Nora's.
Ruby, Nora's, yeah.
Nuts!
She's nuts! And I was like,
And that's how you know she's a truly crazy plan.
coming
Is if
from
Nora's
Nora,
like, the fuck?
yeah.
Even insanity
Nora
has
is
standards.
the craziest one there. So, yeah. She's cashew. No, Pishin. Oh my goodness. Just disgraceful. But yeah, I just had a heart attack when Ruby went up that cannon. I was like, what are you doing, Ruby? You're going to die. But yeah, Crow's reaction, especially being like, seeing her do such a crazy, risky, bloody thing and not knowing what is going on in there. Yeah, his face kind of tore my heart out a little bit. Especially because if the theory holds true of him, like, either being a witness to Summer's death or somehow being involved in it, good lord, he must be having PTSD right now. Jean's the only one of them that is like, oh, I've completely caught on to what she's doing. Everybody else is like, what the fuck is Ruby doing? But he's immediately like, oh, I know exactly what she's doing. Yeah, she's being really clever, but also, like, I'm, like, more than mildly concerned for her safety right now. So it's interesting, when Ruby's inside the cannon, she looks really tiny on the inside of the cannon. I feel like
She does.
the inside of the cannon was much bigger than it actually is.
Looks from the outside.
Yeah, looks from the outside. Because she just looks
I also kind of
puny.
feel like it was an optical illusion.
Yeah.
Because of just like how wide it is and where the camera was placed is
Yeah,
like.
Yeah.
Or it's a TARDIS in there. Who knows?
But yeah, props to Ruby for being that gutsy. Holy hell. And losing her aura in the process. So that's another one down. Another one bites the dust. So at this point in the episode, let's have a dead aura count. John, Nora, Ruby.
Jean, Nora, Ruby.
I think that was it for that point, but there's 3 more to go down still. So, yeah.
And then Weiss fell over.
Yeah,
so she's
Weiss's
close.
aura isn't far behind. So, if
She's never been hit.
Yeah, she hasn't really been hit, but she collapsed to the ground when she used her semblance there. So I think she's definitely running a little low.
She always collapses when she's using her black glyph gravity
Yeah, it seems
semblance.
to take a lot out of her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but using
Especially because she did like 5 different glyphs there.
Yeah, about 5.
I mean, she stopped an airship from crashing previously, but she has used a semblance quite a lot during the duration of this fight. So, and she did summon the Lancer a minute ago as well.
Oh yes.
So yeah, she's definitely running a little low, and we know that her aura is not necessarily at the highest levels to begin with, judging from chapter 11 of last volume, but we're not going to talk about that. She doesn't have the greatest amount of aura, so she's definitely running on reserves at this point. But yeah, using the gravity glyphs to slow Ruby down was... I just love the way that Weiss is just always there to, like, do the thing that people need her to do. Like, she's always ready to be like, oh, you need a wall of gravity dust? Here you go. Oh, you need me to, like, freeze this Griff's wings? Here you go. And, like, oh, Ruby's falling from the sky. Here, let me catch you. Like, she's always there, ready to... And, like, back on the train as well, like, oh, the train's crashing. I better make sure everybody stays on this train. And she's always there to do that one thing that nobody else can do.
She's actually the MVP.
She is the MVP because she is always there. She's on the fucking ball. Every time they need her to do something, she's there doing it before they even realize. So Weiss is the real MVP. Yeah, so, like, Ruby, like, yeah, falling into Crow's arms, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even with this uncle and this niece right now. They're just, they're just ripping my heart out. But her reaction to be like, I told you. I was like, bitch, you're about to get slapped. You be careful. Like, Crow is not in the mood for your shit right now.
You are literally dying in his arms right now. Like, shut up.
And then, of course, back to the airship, Maria steals the scene once again. Maria gets to have the last laugh a lot, and I love it because she just, like, every time she has a line, everything before that line just becomes irrelevant. Because she's just, I love her so much. Oh, don't tell me I missed it! Like, Maria, come on, people almost died just now. Goodness gracious, woman.
Can you imagine if Ruby actually did die? And then she comes out with, don't tell me I missed it.
Yeah, awkward.
Yikes.
Yikes. That's gonna be a fucking yikes from me.
Yikes from me.
I'd rather them reappear in Volume 7. Who?
He said up here, will Cinder and Neo show up?
Oh.
Because we talked about it before, but... I know, I'm sticking true to what I've said the whole time, is like, everything we've seen of them so far is just set up for Volume 7. And that we will get a post-credit sequence, either before credit, or we'll get like a tiny little bit of them like boarding a boat or something. But we will not see anything outside that.
I do think we will see them in Chapter 13, but they're not going to show up at what's currently going on, because it wouldn't make sense with their timeline.
Oh no.
Because they're like, 4 weeks behind at this point? 3 weeks behind? Something like that? I don't know. The timeline confuses me. But
we'll say 2 weeks at this point.
Sure, whatever. I think we will see them, but they're not going to be involved in anything that's going on. And we're probably definitely not getting to Atlas in Chapter 13, which makes me sad. Because I was really... No, you know what? I'm sticking to my fucking guns. I changed my mind. I think maybe at the very least we'll be leaving for Atlas by the time Chapter 13 wraps up.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing I've also always said, is I feel like the chapter will close with like them looking out the windshield of the airship, and they'll see Atlas, and then it'll cut to credits. Like I've been saying this since like episode 7. Is like that's how the volume's gonna end. And
if that's true, I will be annoyed because I don't like it when you're right. No, I don't mind when you're right. I don't like it when he's right and I'm wrong. That annoys me. But
listen, I also thought we wouldn't see Team Juniper until way late in the season, and they showed up episode 7.
And I called Chapter 7, and y'all laughed at me and were like, no, that's not going to happen. And it did, so fuck you.
He's keeping score at this point.
I'm keeping score. Well, that's because he's right more often than I'm right, so every time I'm right, I'm going to make a big deal out of it. Speaking of me being right, I'll talk about that a little bit later in this chapter because I'm annoyed about something. But what was I gonna? There was a thought process that I was gonna go on here, and I completely forgot what it was. I don't know. Whatever.
Neo, Atlas.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm gonna stick to my guns with we'll at least be leaving for Atlas by the time Chapter 13 wraps up. Oh, that's what it was. I have a feeling Chapter 13 is gonna be kind of. I hate saying this. Kind of similar to the finale of Volume 3, in the style of the episode. Because the Volume 3 finale, there was, like, the fall of Beacon was still happening for the first half of the chapter, and then we had, obviously, the big climactic event, which was Pyrrha's death and Ruby's Silver Eyes, and then the final half of the chapter was wrap-up.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting necessarily that same sort of format for the attack on Argus, but I'm expecting both grim attack and wrap up in Chapter 13. I definitely don't think it's ending on a cliffhanger, and if it's like shorter than 25 minutes, that will be unacceptable. like this finale needs to be a long one, because I don't see how they're possibly going to wrap anything up in less than 25 minutes of actual episode time. So I'm expecting the finale runtime to be like 31 minutes or something like that. 31, 32 minutes. It's the only way they're going to get through everything. You called it too, thank you very much. Yeah, well, nobody's talking about you, Kishin.
Well, I agree with you on how the way I foresee the final episode going. I also do see like them having some kind of like little bit of wrap up. With, like, you know, kind of maybe another monologue similar to like Volume 4 maybe or something. But there will be something.
A few minutes of wrap up at the end there.
Yeah. Because that's the thing that I found, and I think a lot of people found most dissatisfying about the Volume 5 finale, was that it was just like, we have to get to Atlas.
Yeah.
Cut to credits, and it's like...
Yeah, it just ended. Yeah, it was disappointing, and we all know that. But Dodge, thank you for pointing out the music when the Grimm showed up almost sounded exactly the same as when the Grim Wyvern showed up. We'll discuss that later because I do have that written in my notes. I agree with you. So, Blake and Yang versus Adam. Bumblebee versus Adam. So the Chapter 11 Yang versus Adam one-on-one fight is my favorite fight of the entire series. Absolutely incredibly animated fight. And Chapter 12 did not disappoint either. Still, they kept this really good animation going. The choreography obviously was a little different because now it's 2-on-1. And both Yang and Blake are tired at this point. But still holding their own against Adam really well.
Oh, they were kicking his ass.
They were kicking his ass for a bit there until he took Blake out, which we knew that was going to happen. Cory, you were saying to me that this fight was pretty much exactly how you envisioned it.
Yeah.
Which I don't try to picture fights before they happen because I don't want to get an idea in my head and then have it be something completely different. Because I definitely...
I mean, I didn't have a very extensive idea of how the fight was going to go, but there were things that I was like there's going to be crisscrossing, and there's going to be somebody hits him and then he goes to hit them back and they hit him, the other one hits him, and I was hoping for a Bumblebee spin thing again, but outside of that I was like
they had to give us a reverse Bumblebee team move before they rip Gamble Shroud forever, so but we don't know what the next evolution in Blake's weapon is going to be. The ribbon could be gone altogether, but I doubt it because it's her whole kind of fighting style.
Thing.
So I don't know, but she, of course, she's fighting differently now to how she used to, because obviously they're different animators that are animating her, so I love Blake's double backflip. Yeah, her double, handstand. Fauna seem to be very, very agile people. We've seen Sun do it, a lot of flips in a row before he, without getting, dizzy or whatever. But, again, that, a lot of people chalk that down to, he's a monkey Faunus. He's, super flippy and whatnot. But, I feel like the Faunus are typically, just very agile people in general. But we've also seen people like Weiss do loads of backflips in a row, and, so obviously it's that kind of gymnastics sort of stuff is all ingrained in their training when they go to huntsman academies and that kind of thing, the combat schools. So yeah, you need to be agile.
I think it's the high heels.
It's the heels, yeah, totally.
It's the heels.
It's all the heels.
Sun's is because he's a monkey, but the others is because they're in heels.
Not imagined this fight to some capacity since Volume 3. Had imagined this fight to some capacity. Yeah, we all knew this was coming. That's the thing. We all knew that there was going to be a Blake and Yang versus Adam at some point. We've been waiting for it.
Matter of time, honestly.
Yeah. And it's about goddamn time. But Adam's first line here, he says, "You couldn't win. You knew you couldn't win 2-on-1 at Haven." He's talking to Blake about her and Sun. And at that point, I was like, Sun is not Yang. Let's not even remotely compare the two, because Yang is definitely on a much higher level than Sun is. I love Sun, but nah.
And they were still kicking his ass back in Haven anyway.
Yeah, if Sun and Blake had gone up against Adam at the end of Volume 5, they would have lost and Sun would have gotten killed. And Blake knew that, so... but here, Yang is definitely a very formidable force, all on her own, even without Blake. Adam just... Okay. Adam drives me nuts, because we had a discussion about this in the chat last week's Boopcast, but he is just completely and utterly deluded. He just... And this is this is the realism of his character, because this is people that are the way that Adam is. This is exactly how they think. They blame everything and like everyone else around them but themselves for things that they have brought on themselves through sheer flaw of character. And they just don't see things the way that they actually are, and they believe what they want to believe. So when Yang says, did she make that promise to you or to the person you were pretending to be? And his response is, I just wasn't good enough for you. That's exactly the kind of mentality that somebody who is like Adam, that's exactly how they think. And it's like, I find, like, since chapter 11, I find his character miles more believable now than I ever did. Because that is exactly the way that people like that think, and that's not him just like taunting them. That's actually what he believes. And he's looking for any excuse besides blaming himself. He's forcing all of the blame on Blake for everything that's happened when it's just not her fault. And she knows that, at least. So I'm glad that she like has the guts here to like stand up to him and be like, no, you're completely delusional, bitch. None of this is my fault, but I'm gonna fight you anyway because I don't have a choice. How I see Adam as a person held captive by his past. Yeah, I mean, we've discussed this already, but a person's past doesn't excuse their present. Regardless of like how much...
Him and Ilya went through similar things, and we can see how they let different, like, how Adam held on to the past, and Ilya,
eventually
forgave.
Let it go. Yeah. She eventually let it go, yeah. And now she's moving on to better things, and but Adam is still completely fixated. And it doesn't matter how much a person has been abused. It does not excuse them for abusing others. But that is unfortunately the cycle of abuse, is that a lot of the time people who are abused go on to be abusers themselves because it's all they know. So it's sad, but at the same time, he's still a piece of shit, and I still hate him.
Yeah, but... and I've loved seeing him these last couple episodes, just because like we finally get to see just how manipulative he is. Like, I feel like so many people didn't like. I don't know, they were like, "Oh, you're buying into all that like abusive ex-boyfriend stuff that they're trying to push," but like. The way that he talks in these episodes is like he's just gaslighting the crap out of Blake, and just like he uses such manipulative language that it's like, of course she left him, like of course.
Yeah, and that's what I think Yang is trying to say here. Be like, bitch, of course she left you. You're a piece of shit. I was watching, Larissa's reaction isn't out yet, but what she said at that moment in her reaction, because she showed it to me, cracked me up. It was hilarious. Yeah, I had a thought and I've lost it. My gosh, it's early. Anyway, moving on. There's the shot here of like the split screen of Blake and Yang. Took me back to Mountain Glen for a second there, with all of the like split screen editing they did in that episode. Which was the first time we really saw that in RWBY. So I was like, whoa, I'm being transported back to Volume 2 for a second there. That was weird. But I do like it. It was cool. I liked how he was a villain. Oh, I was going to say something about Adam. That's what it was. Train of thought. Come back, please. I don't think redemption was ever an option. No, it wasn't. Oh, no. The last couple of chapters we've seen is Adam's character finally being written well. I feel like that's been his downfall in the past, is that this abusive ex-boyfriend thing, that's always been him. He's just not been written well in the past. And now this is him being written well, and like it actually being displayed as, no, he was abusive and he was this and he was that. And this is the kind of personality that he has, and it's a flaw of his character. And I feel like it just wasn't written well previously. We think about the last time we had a scene with him and Blake was back in Volume 3. And when you go back and watch that scene now, he just makes me cringe. I was like, he was not a well-written character at that stage. And I feel like in 2 chapters they've managed to fix him. And especially after the character short, which I still feel like he was not written well in the character short. But now in chapters 11 and 12, they completely fixed him. Which is good because they killed him, so they needed to fix him before killing him. But yeah.
Yeah, I saw a very interesting point or post on Twitter that I'll probably try to retweet after the podcast. But talking about how there seemed to be like 2 different ideas in the fandom about who Adam was as a character, and it's why people are so divided on like him as a character right now is because the people who saw him as the abusive ex-boyfriend thing are happy, and the people who saw him as the like leader of the White Fang aren't. And this post pointed out that like Adam has never cared for the Faunus.
No,
he's just always cared about.
What you're talking about.
Yeah,
he's just always.
On Twitter.
He's always cared about just like getting back at humans, and so he just kind of pushed his ideology onto other Faunus because they could have experienced similar things to what he did, and that's why like his fixation was on humans, but then Blake hurt him, so Blake became a part of his fixation on getting revenge.
Yeah,
because he never cared about the Faunus. He only ever cared about getting revenge.
Exactly.
And so, of course, he'd go after Blake and do all these different things because his obsession isn't related to equality. His obsession is related to vengeance.
Exactly. And Ninja, I want to address something you just said in the chat. He said, really wish Adam wasn't taken down the ex-lover route. He wasn't taken down this route. This has always been his character. From the Black trailer, from before the Black trailer, this has always been his character. He wasn't taken down this route. This isn't a recent thing. People who are, like, behaving like this is a recent thing over the last 2 chapters have not been paying fucking attention. He's always been this way. That was always going to be his character. But, yeah, the fight itself here, I loved Blake's, like, stepping on Adam's sword to jump over him. That was great. The only criticism I have of this fight is that there are way too many efforts of Blake and Yang going, yeah! It happens way too many times. It's fucking annoying.
Yeah.
Like, every time I watch the fight, I'm like, oh, there's like 8 of them. It's too much. It's so annoying. It's all I can hear. I don't know why they went with that, but there's literally like 4 in a row, and I'm like, you need to stop. Like, you need to make a different sound, because that's driving me nuts. Because I just hate the ER kind of thing, because it sounds so fake to me, and it sounds like an effort sound. You don't want effort sounds to sound like an effort sound. You want them to sound natural.
I'm not entirely sure if they record effort sounds on a per episode basis, or they got everyone to record like a whole bunch of effort sounds and then reuse them across the episodes as they see fit.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it. I know they've definitely reused effort sounds in the future because I've heard them reused, and I've heard that one before, but because I just watched the show that much. But yeah, there was too many. It was too much, and it annoys me when I watch this fight. But it's my only criticism of it. So, the reverse Bumblebee move was nice. I seriously thought though she was gonna kick Adam, not whip out a sheath and like clash swords with him. That was interesting.
I mean, but here's the thing though: if she tried to kick him, he would have cut off her legs.
Well,
yeah, basically.
Yeah. She probably doesn't want to put them out in the open.
I'm not entirely sure why she lost that trade-off, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a bit weird, man.
It was kind of a weird thing where I feel like they were like, okay, we need to get Blake out of this fight, so The
Yang dab was unnecessary. I mean, at this point, it's just a meme pishin. They've all got a dab at some point. But yeah, I assume just because Adam was like pushing energy out from his sword to force her backwards is why she lost that exchange there. But yeah, I agree. It was a little weird. So Blake hitting the cliff and her aura, like,
I also think the other reason that they had him clash like that was because they needed like a reason they needed Adam's sword to get charged up a little bit for the thing he does later.
Yeah.
And Yang wasn't hitting him, so like, crap, we have to have Blake hit his sword. We'll do it here.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't know how much of the energy that he stored he's actually expended either, so...
I kind of got the impression, though, with that shot he did at the end of last episode, was he gave it, like, everything.
Yeah, it did.
And that was,
seem that
it started this episode at a net 0.
Yeah, certainly seemed that way, definitely. So Blake hits the cliff and her aura goes down. It's the first time we've ever seen Blake's aura. Not just seen it go down, but it's the first time we've ever seen it. Which is interesting.
Yeah.
So, purple, of course it's purple.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been a lot of posts on Tumblr about, like, there's this whole thing about Ruby with eyes being the windows to the soul and that kind of thing. And there's been a lot of posts on Tumblr about the fact that Blake has yellow eyes and Yang's aura is yellow, and Yang has purple eyes and Blake's aura is purple. Did anybody else, did anyone not see this coming? Like, really? Yes, we know. We knew this was going to be the way that it is. But, we'll talk more about that subject in a little bit. But, so, I like that Adam finally brought up the elephant in the room. Because it got ignored in chapter 11, and I was like, okay, fine, Yang's doing really awesome, good for her. But now we see her get distracted by, like, her PTSD coming through when he says, do you think you're faster than you were at Beacon? And I'm like, well, clearly, bitch, she is, because she's kicking your ass right now. Like, what a dumb question. But it definitely distracts her to the point of, like, she can't fight anymore. Because she's too distracted. But she's also distracted by what Blake's doing, because she can see her climbing the cliff up there, and she's like, I just need to buy time, is probably what she's thinking at that moment. But I love that when she, like, lowers her hands, you hear a tiny bit of such arrogance playing in there. The little sort of music box motif from chapter 11 of volume 3, which is my favorite thing Alex Abraham has ever composed. Because it's creepy and it's haunting and it's dark, and I love it. And I like that we had a tiny little throwback to it there. And we'll probably discuss that with him next week, I imagine. But, she was, for the first half of the fight, she was totally and utterly focused on, I need to protect Blake from this maniac. And now she's distracted. Now she can't, she can't focus because she's been pulled back into that state of mind that she was at, she has been at previously when she's sort of been recovering from what happened at Beacon. So, yeah, she just falls to pieces. But, okay, Adam has a line here that we need to talk about. Because his line is, what does she even see in you? Oh,
there's a thing I wanted to bring up before that.
Oh, yeah?
Was that he says that your aura is bound to be getting low, bound to be and there's and there's just the softest little chuckle that Yang does there as she breathes out. It's such a little, like, heh, kind of a thing. And I was just like, she knows what this means.
Yeah, I mean, I was like thinking quietly to myself, if her aura's getting low, that's bad news for you, buddy. Like, I wouldn't be so chuffed about that if I were you. She's got a kamikaze move coming up. Not a kamikaze move, a Super Saiyan move coming up. Why did I say kamikaze? God forbid. Yeah, and I also, like, when he said that, when he was like, your aura is bound to be running low, I was like, that's a little rich, because we literally just saw Blake and Adam fight, fall from a tower, through trees, hit the ground, no aura break. They've been fighting for quite some time. We've seen both Adam and Blake take a lot of hits, and now Blake's aura breaks. And Adam's is still up. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. How, like, I hate that they throw the rules of aura out the window and only break somebody's aura when they want it to. It drives me insane. Yeah. I'm like, how strong are Blake and Adam's auras? Like, why are they taking all of these hits and their auras are not going down? And he got hit with a bicycle, for Christ's sake. And his aura still didn't go down.
At full speed.
Oh my god, it's absolutely ridiculous. And like, for him to then say, your aura's bound to be running low when Yang's been in this fight for literally 2 minutes is annoying to me. I hate it. I'm like, oh, it's so annoying. Would you just obey the laws of aura, please? It's just... The laws of aura only seem to apply when it's convenient, and it drives me insane.
Oh.
Bitch, it's a motorcycle. Oh, did I say bicycle? Lol.
You did say bicycle.
I meant to say motorcycle. I meant to say motorcycle, sorry. With a bicycle, lol. I didn't realize I said that. Yeah, pretty sure Adam doesn't have Hazel's aura regen, and neither does Blake. Blake should have been down a while ago.
Yeah.
So both of them should have no aura already at this point, but whatever. Yeah, the line, what does she even see in you? So I am still seeing posts on Tumblr of not just like anti-bees, but clearly, completely deluded people still denying that Bumblebee is going to be a thing. Like, at this point, I don't think anybody can deny it. I don't think it couldn't be any more obvious at this point. Mm-hmm. Like, if Adam can see it, we should all be able to see it too.
Seriously, he got jealous last episode. He says, what does she even see in you? He talks about, like, I made a promise to her too. She made a promise to me too once. Like, he's even drawing parallels between their relationships. And, like, he can see that these two like each other, and yet these other people are like, they're just really good gal pals.
Those good mates.
Those people drive me insane. And like, I used to see their relationship that way until this volume, when I was like, okay, they're being totally obvious with this now. It's obvious that this is where this is going to end up. So I was like, okay, whatever. I don't care whichever way it goes. And if this is the way it was meant to be from the beginning, then this is the way it was meant to be. And there's like, I have nothing against them being in a relationship, and I never did. But we talked about that way too much already this volume. But
I know.
Gals being pals.
We've spent so much time talking about the anti-bees.
It just annoys me because people are just, oh my god, people will live and die by their ships, and it drives me insane. But canon is canon, and you can't deny the canon. So
it's a matter of time when it sails.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the thing: the Black Sun ship doesn't go away because they might make the Bumblebee ship canon. And this also just has nothing to do with ships in general. This is about these characters and their journey and where the story is supposed to be. If this is happening, it was because it was always going to happen. It was always supposed to happen. So, but like the people that are still in denial at this point, wake up and smell the fucking pheromones. Because if it's obvious to Adam, it should be obvious to us.
Wake up and smell the honey. There's bees everywhere.
There's bees everywhere. Fanfiction exists for a reason. Exactly. Just because one ship becomes canon doesn't automatically mean every other ship is dead. That's not how fandom works. I mean, have you been in any other fandom ever? Detroit Become Human is an example that immediately comes to mind. The sheer amount of shipping, regardless of canonical relationships, is phenomenal. Like, people don't give a shit. They will ship whatever they want, regardless of the canon. So I don't fully understand the whole, well, I do, because there's a lot of homophobia surrounding it as well. But that's not all of it. So
that's not all of it,
That's not all of it. Nicolas Cage, not the bees.
Not the bees.
Yeah. Not the bees. I mean, I'm not entirely surprised, though, that this is how the, fandom reacts to something like this. Because, even, with the end of The Legend of Korra and the revelations surrounding Korra and Asami's relationship there, and the confirming that they are in a romantic relationship and all this stuff, and people still to this day are like, nope, they're just gals being pals, and there's just people forcing their beliefs onto people, and she should have ended up with Mako and all this other stuff. And it's like, some people are just never going to be okay with this stuff.
Well, that's because some people just believe what they want to believe. Some people are atoms. Don't be an atom. use your eyes, use your brain. Look, what's going to happen is going to happen regardless of what anybody thinks. So, I am all for them being in a relationship. I adore them. I think they're just adorable. But, yeah.
Dodge says at least this was built up better than Korasami, but that's the liberty that Rooster Teeth has, and is why I've been such a supporter of Bumblebee, is because, like, the Legend of Korra had a network they had to go through, and the network let them do hardly any of the stuff they want to do to build Korra and Asami's relationship, whereas Rooster Teeth has the luxury of actually being able to do what they want and tell the story how they want to tell it without being impeded by a production company or something.
Yeah, because they are the production company, so...
Write their own rules.
I prefer canons to canons, because it's Ruby, where everything else is also a gun. I wouldn't say weapon quality's gone down after Volume 4, AC. I think it's definitely different. Jesus, Bartek. Way to jump in the chat there. Hello. This volume made me want to ship White Rose. I will never ship White Rose. They're just not compatible. Like, they are great partners and they're great friends, but they will just never be romantically compatible.
I just can't see Ruby just dating anybody.
No, I really can't.
Yeah, but herself, I guess.
Yeah.
She's in a committed relationship with Crescent Rose, so
yeah.
I mean,
the only person I ever shipped Ruby with was Penny, and I was like, well, but that's just because, like, you know, that was kind of a thing where it's like, ooh, she's a robot, and Ruby likes guns and stuff, so that'd be kind of cute.
That's, what, are you saying it's like a kinky thing? Like,
No, because I also do not think the relationship would be even remotely sexual.
Okay, moving on quickly. So, when Adam does this, like, attack at the end here, because you can see, like, Yang looking over to the cliffs continuously, like, seeing where Blake is, like, where is she now, how close is she? I was a little confused as to where Blake was going at first, because she, like, kind of climbs up the cliff, and she's still going up, and then she jumps onto the bridge, and I was like, oh, I see what she's doing. Because it would break physics if she just kind of jumped across, but as if Ruby hasn't done that 50 million times already in this volume alone. But, you know, God forbid we should break gravity. Goodness me.
But that's the thing I'm also very glad about, is, like, they're once again at least attempting to keep with the idea that you need aura to be able to use your semblance, so Blake isn't using her semblance to climb up this cliff, because she got no aura.
Yeah.
Yes. But something interesting here was that Adam used the same move that he used in Chapter 11, where he, like, spun his sword at Yang. But last time she blocked it, and this time she blocked it, but she kind of fell backwards. So, she, like, obviously it's taking a lot out of her, but, when he does that final move and she activates her semblance, that sort of flash effect that happens when she gets hit and all the dust that gets kicked up, absolutely beautiful looking. I could stare at that for hours. Really, really nice particle effects going on there. Her grabbing his sword is a direct reference to Beauty and the Beast, because there's a shot in Disney's original Beauty and the Beast where the Beast grabs the like piece of statue that Gaston like tries to hit him with, and it's exactly the same shot. They're not even trying to hide it. Like, the reference is direct. Yes, and her fucking hair. Thank you, Pishin. Yes. Beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. We've all been waiting for it for so long for them to figure out Yang's hair, and, like, we haven't seen it really, because, like, we didn't see it in Volume 3 because they couldn't figure out how to animate it and, like, how to do the particle effects, but they're so worth the wait. My god, it looks so beautiful.
And her facial expression?
Yeah.
When she says, gotcha.
Gotcha. And, like, I like the way that Barbara voiced it so that her voice changes slightly when she's activated her semblance, because we haven't really heard that really previously from Yang. Because usually when she activates her semblance, it's in the middle of a fight and she doesn't really say anything. She's just screaming, but she always does that. So, but like hearing the way that she talks, especially when she says the line, "I may not be faster," is slightly different. And then when her aura goes down, she says, "But I'm smarter." Her voice kind of goes back to normal, kind of thing. So I like what Barbara did there with the voice acting. But oh my god, that hair, so beautiful. And the like kind of burning fire sound that it makes. It sounds kind of like what I imagine the inside of a campfire to sound like. Like that noise.
I literally, the first time I watched the episode, I didn't even notice Adam's aura go down because I was too busy staring at Yang's hair.
She wasn't even in the shot when his aura went down. Good gracious.
Wasn't she? Because it was the big wide shot.
No, there was a big wide shot where he like gets chucked into the floor, and then it cuts to him as his aura's like flickering, and going down. I thought
it was the other way. She punched him and he slid, and then it cut to the wide shot as his aura flickered out.
Yeah, it was a wide shot, and his aura flickered out.
Yeah,
and then he gets up.
It was a tight shot on him when his aura flickered out. Yeah, I definitely noticed it. Yeah, so that's another one down, and then Yang's aura goes down, so that's 6 people without aura now. One of them's about to be dead, so that's fine, but there's 5 of them are without aura. Weiss isn't far behind. I don't know what's going on with Crow, Oscar, and Maria, but you know. Yang finally chucks Adam's sword off the edge here. Blake should have done that last chapter, because Blake had Adam's sword in her
she
weapon
lost it
for a good while there, and didn't throw it off the cliff. I'm like, love, what are you doing? Just throw it away and be done with it. But of course she was on her own at that point, so probably not the best idea. And he also still had aura. Probably not the best idea maybe at that point. But again, convenience of storytelling. And like he also throws her sheath off the cliff and it magically reappears in the scene. But you know, we already talked about that. But yeah, she should have done that a while ago. So yeah, and I again, what happened in this whole scene is exactly how I envisioned it. I was like, okay, they're gonna chuck his sword off the edge. We all kind of discussed how the way Adam was going to die, because we've seen this coming for a couple of chapters. And we all sort of agreed that he's probably going to die by consequence. Like, they're going to, like, kick him off the cliff, or, like, he's going to fall of his own accord, or something like that is going to happen.
Like a Disney death?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm annoyed, and I want to tell you guys why I'm annoyed. I predicted 3 chapters ago how Adam was gonna die, and I didn't say anything because I was like, it's never gonna happen. And then it did. And I'm annoyed I didn't say something now, because I was quietly thinking to myself for the last few weeks, I was like, I want Blake and Yang to just like stab him, and then him to just fall off the bridge, and that be that. And that's exactly what fucking happened, and I'm annoyed I didn't call it now, because I was right! So annoying, and I didn't call it. But, just, like, in, like, chapter 10, I was thinking this, because I was like, okay, Adam's here, so obviously this is going to lead up to his death. Oh, I want Blake and Yang to just run him through. That would be so good. You should try the lottery. No, I have terrible luck. But just like, this scene was everything I wanted, and I didn't say anything about it before, and I'm annoyed that I didn't now, because I was right.
Because we talked about how, like, the worst iteration of his death that I first saw was a thing where, like, Adam's aura went down and Blake would be holding his weapon or her weapon or something, and, like, they would be like, give up Adam, and he'd be like, no, and he would just keep trying to come at him, and Blake would be like forced to stab him, kind of a thing.
That's essentially what happened.
And then it was like, which is essentially what happened, but a little bit more like, I don't know, not quite.
Not quite.
But also, like, it was also like the worst I could foresee them doing and stuff, and I was like, well, they probably won't do that. And
yeah, AC says, I never honestly thought Blake or Yang had it in them to kill a person. I'll talk about this in a little bit, but I want to talk about this scene itself first. So, like, I love his face when he, like, tries to catch his weapon off the bridge, and then he's immediately like, what the? Because Blake's, like, sitting there waiting, and just, like, jumps up and punches him, and all the slow-mo is so great. The way his feet clatter with Gamble Shroud that's on the ground, and he, like, stumbles over it. I'm so glad they didn't forget where Gamble Shroud was in the scene, first of all. They, like, kept an eye on it, like, it's here. And the, like, sound design of the way he clatters with it and the way it moves is really realistic. I really like that. And then seeing them both, like, look at it, and suddenly they're miles further away from it than they were a second ago, but, you know, we'll ignore that. And the slow-mo of them both, like, reaching for it, and, like, me having a miniature heart attack at that moment in time and being like, oh, don't tell me Adam's gonna grab it. But, you know, they show the shot of Blake grabbing it and Yang grabbing the other piece, and the shots of them, like, charging towards him with the weapons. I'm like, oh, this is so beautiful. It's just beautiful. Just everything I wanted it to be. And then, like, them individually running him through and all the blood, and it's so violent and it's bloody, which is what it should be. It shouldn't be, like, glorified or anything. This was handled the way it should have been handled, because it's not a pretty thing. But yeah, it was very violent, and I didn't know if they would have had it in them to take a life either, but Adam gave them no choice. They gave him plenty of
fight or flight at that moment.
Yeah, they gave him plenty of chances. Like, they gave him outs. They were like, okay, surrender now, or we're going to kill you. And, like, because we don't have a choice. And that's the thing. He gave them no choice. They wouldn't have done it if he, like, they gave him opportunities to get out of this situation, and he didn't take it. So...
Yeah. I have that actually written in my notes that at the start of the fight, he literally says, you've made your choice, and I've made mine.
Yeah.
So, like, he basically said that, you know, you chose to leave me, so I'm choosing to fight you. Like, he gave them no other option, and, like, people are even saying that they murdered him, but, like, I still see it as self-defense. Like, they were in the middle of a fight, and if Adam had reached that knife first, he would have killed Blake.
Yeah. And again, this was in the heat of the moment. There's a lot of adrenaline going on, so I mean, he gave them no choice. They had to kill him. He was not going to stop. So it was either kill him or let him kill them. So and they knew that. The girls knew that. So obviously, it's not something they wanted to do. It's not the outcome they were looking for. But yeah, he gave them no choice. So I have another criticism. Gamble Shroud's blades grow about double the length when they actually go into Adam's body, because when you see them holding the pieces, they're really short, and then when they go into him, they, like, extend, and that annoys the shit out of me, because I'm like, the little tip that Yang's holding should not be sticking out that far. That's, like, literally how long the entire thing is.
It's a stub, like a really small stub.
I know, it's so annoying. It drives me insane. And I'm like, I noticed it immediately when I was watching the chapter. I was like, oh boy, that's not how long it was a second ago. I get they were going for that dramatic, like, look of the blades coming through his body, but again, like, it bothers me. It's annoying. And then when they pull them back out again, I'm like, and they shrunk again.
I know, because Yang's literally holding, like, the blade is, like, you know, a third of the blade is in her hand.
Yeah.
And it's like, the size of your fist is not the depth of his body.
No. Yeah. I can't believe you didn't notice it already, Dodge. It's glaring to me. It's a glaring thing. And that seems to happen a lot, too. It annoys the shit out of me.
Oh God, Hasty.
Hasty, Jesus Christ. So, my reaction to this moment, I have a feeling you guys are gonna, you know, you won't be disappointed by my reaction, because I literally screamed when this happened. I was so happy. I couldn't contain my excitement that this bitch was finally gonna die. AC, stop! This is a family podcast! No, it's not. It's not.
Is it?
No.
Is it really?
But, like, the way that the music, like, comes to a climax when that happens... Oh, bad choice of words. And, like, the way that they just hold on the shot of them, like, holding the weapon in him, and him sort of registering what just happened. I've heard a couple of people say, why did he be like, oh, what a weird thing to say. I was like, who's Big Tricky VGM in the chat right now? Never mind.
Me, by the way.
Yes. So, and like the way that he says "oh" when he like realizes what just happened and that he's just been stabbed to death, basically, I feel like that's shock talking, because people go into shock when something like that happens to them. And it's the body's way of preserving you. Shock is the body's way of making you stay alive for as long as possible. So your brain just completely stops working when something like that happens, because your body is focusing all of your energy on keeping your internal organs going. So literally your consciousness kind of fades into the background, and you can't register what's going on because your brain and your body's trying to protect you from what's going on. So I feel like that's shock talking when he just goes, oh. Because it's like, he's not actually realized what's happened, but he can definitely feel it. So,
and that's also why he walks so, like, strangely towards the edge, is because I feel like his brain is just, like, in preservation mode, and it's like, in order to survive, I need to go get my sword, so I'm gonna go get my sword. My sword is over this way. Yeah,
and his body is literally in the process of shutting down. And Blake's end of the blade went straight through his heart. So like, the way that he, like, stumbles towards the edge and kind of just, like, almost like he looks drunk, is because his body is literally shutting down so quickly. He didn't walk off the edge. No, he fell to his knees.
I didn't say, I said he walked towards the edge. I didn't say he fell. Yeah. He walked off the cliff.
He, like, fell to his knees, and, like, a lot of people are still speculating, like, oh, he's gonna do a cinder and come back. Bitch, he got stabbed through the heart and fell in freezing cold water.
I'll be honest, when I was doing my reaction and he started walking towards the edge, I literally started going, no, Rooster Teeth, please don't do this. Please let him be dead. Please don't throw him over. Keep his body here. But then he fell off. And
the second he hit his head on the rock, I was like, yeah, he's dead. He's rinsed.
He hit his head on the rock. His eyes were still open and he didn't react. So I'm like...
Yeah, he didn't even go grunt at all.
Yeah,
no death does not apply here, I think.
No. When he's kneeling on the edge of the cliff and he does that last breath out and his eyes roll up, he's dead there. That was him drawing his last breath. He died in that moment before he even fell. So Skype, stop telling me Cory's online. I'm literally talking to him. Rude. I keep getting nervous that, like, your internet's gonna drop out or something, or my internet's gonna drop out, and I'm like, he drew his last breath there. He, like, exhaled his last exhale there, and before he even fell off, he was dead. A knife through the heart like that does not take you long to die. So, you need your heart to live, believe it or not.
Yeah, and, like, even at the end of the day, like, even if that wasn't his last breath, like, the amount of injury he would have taken from hitting that rock on the way down, coupled with the fact that he was about to drown, like, there's 0% chance. He could have died in 700 different ways in this entire thing.
The amount of ways that Adam is definitely dead. Here we go. Let's make a list. Knife straight through the heart. Cool. Awesome. Falling off a cliff and bashing his head. Yep, definitely dead. Falling into freezing cold water. Yep, hypothermia is going to kill him pretty quickly. Also, he's going to bleed to death. So, he's fucking dead, okay? He's not coming back. Stop debating this. There's no debate.
He dead.
Is dead. And I really want somebody from the Kruby in, like, the next event that happens in the next Q&A, you know, somebody's going to be like, is Adam really dead? I want them to be like, yes.
Yeah.
He's dead.
You know what famous episode we did? He's dead.
Yeah, you remember that episode where he died? He's dead! And, like, the thing is, when Cinder died in Volume 5, literally every single reactor was like, bye, see you next season. Because we knew she wasn't dead. Because we're not stupid. We were like, there is no fucking way that's the end of Cinder. No body, no death. Now, granted, we didn't see Adam's body, but he was already dead before he fell off.
Dead.
So
Saw him die.
So dead. And, like, the way that they built all of this up, and, like, literally the chapter before he died told us everything we ever needed to know about his character, showed us the scar. He had outlived his usefulness as a character. His last and only objective in the story was to die. And that's what he's done. And he's dead now. Bye-bye, Adam. We won't miss you. He's not coming back, okay? Nobody lives through that. Not even him. Even Cinder wouldn't fucking survive that. And she's a friggin' cockroach. But yeah, he's gone. And I couldn't have been happier. And, like, when I did my reaction to Cinder's death in Fall in Volume 5, I didn't say anything because I was like, she's not dead. There's no way. That's not the end of Cinder. Like, she's gonna be coming back. But here, I knew it was the end of Adam, and I got so excited. I could not contain my excitement. It was supposed to be like this dramatic, kind of heavy moment, and I was just screaming and clapping and being like, yes, fuck you! Because I was just so happy that he died. He died the same way Sienna Khan did. Yeah, Sienna Khan got stabbed right through the heart and died pretty much immediately, so... and it's also ironic that he got killed the same way. But yeah, this was everything I wanted. I wanted them to actually kill him and just, like, run him through and have it be this, like, massive, like, violent kind of triumphant moment. But I like the way that they handled it. They handled Blake and Yang's side of it. Press F for Sienna Khan. I like that they handled the aftermath of Adam's death. Like, they didn't just cut away after he fell. That wasn't it. They kept us there in the moment. And for Blake and Yang, this was not a moment of triumph. They literally just killed somebody. And that's not a nice thing to have to do, regardless of who they were. And so... I haven't seen many criticisms, but I've seen a couple people being like, oh, why is Blake crying? He was so mean to her. I'm like, she's crying because she just killed somebody that she once cared about and once loved, and he just forced her to kill him. Like, that's horrible. And, like, of course she's upset. She's distraught because she loved and cared about Adam once upon a time. And, forgive the fairy tale pun. And, and she's distraught that she just literally had to murder him. So, well, murder is a strong word. But, props to Aaron Zek for her friggin' voice acting in this scene, too. Because it's very hard to fake cry in voice acting. Like, we heard Barbara do it for Yang in Volume 5, and it was not good. But Aaron's fake crying here makes me tear up every single time I watch it, because I believe her. I believe that she's really distraught and upset. It's just not a triumphant moment. It's distressing. Blake is clearly very distressed and in pain, and she hates that this is how this had to end. But she didn't have a choice.
And I'm pretty sure she's probably also, like, in this moment, I'm sure she's also, like, almost feeling guilty for how relieved she is that this monster won't be hunting her anymore.
And of course, like, when you care about somebody, and they sort of hurt you or stab you in the back, you don't immediately stop caring about that person. So I think that for Blake, a lot of this is she still cared about him and still maybe hoped that he could come around. But for him to force her to kill him was a little bit too much for her. Killing Adam is no victory. It is a victory. I'm happy for Blake, especially, but both Blake and Yang, but Blake especially.
It will be a victory in the future, not now.
Yeah, I'm glad that they no longer have to live with this looming over their heads. Like, they can finally just get on with their lives without worrying about, is Adam going to show up again? Because he's fucking dead. So now Blake can sort of get on with her life without ever having this looming over her head again. So that makes me... it's a victory in that sense. But everything about this little scene between Yang and Blake was just beautiful and so perfect. And the way Yang, like, immediately runs to her side and pulls her into a hug and, like, just tries to calm her down when it's exactly what she needs in that moment. and the way like Blake is like heaving when she cries is so realistic, and the way her like body is moving as she's crying, and it's was animated really well, and Blake saying, "I'm not going to break my promise, I swear," and Yang being like, "I know you won't." It's like sort of showing us that Yang has total faith in Blake once again, that she's not going to leave, that she's going to stick around, and now she has like the reason Blake ran off in the first place was because of Adam. So now that that element's taken away, Blake has no reason to leave them. So she's gonna stick to her guns on that one.
That's the criticism that of the Bumblebee ship that I still hate, is that people are like, no, she just runs away so much. Yang deserves somebody who will, stick around, or Blake deserves somebody who will chase her and stuff like that. And I'm just like, no, because because you have to think of the reasonings behind why they do the things they do.
I want to point out,
it's not just the actions.
We all just made the exact same face just then. We're all like, no, that doesn't make any sense. But yeah, the way that this moment was animated and the way it was voice acted, and just the interaction between Blake and Yang here is so nice, and like the way Yang's like trying to comfort her. Yang is such a motherly figure as well, so like she's been the one to hug everybody and be like, oh, it's okay, and like that's just kind of in her nature. So they don't have a lot of time to cry. No, that's true, but Blake is distraught right now. She needs a second to collect herself. So and they obviously don't know what's going on in Argus right now either. They're completely unaware of what's happening. They don't know what's going on with the rest of the team. All they're focused on in that moment is each other and what they've literally just been through. And it's a lot to process, so they're going to need a second. But they'll be back.
Also, they're very injured.
Yeah, and neither of them has an aura right now, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, and Blake is obviously very distraught, and she's going to need a minute. So, it's a horrible thing to have to force her to do.
There's another... I've seen people drawing parallels in the scene to the way that when Blake first starts crying and Yang comes over and to console her, she hugs... Yang hugs Blake exactly the same way she did when she reunited with Ruby and with Weiss, but then how the scene then kind of evolves into the way that they hug changes, and they have the forehead touch and all this stuff, and it's almost like this kind of beautiful amalgamation of a way to say to like show that of a relationship changing from friends to more.
Yeah. And the way Blake, because one of the last things Adam said was like, oh, she's going to break her promise to you. So Blake, the first thing Blake's saying is being like, I'm not going to break my promise. I swear I'm not going to break my promise. And like, just like seeming so fearful of like Yang ever believing what Adam was saying. But
Adam said, yeah.
Yang's smarter than that. She knows he's full of shit. So, technically Blake isn't human. Well, I mean, yeah, well, she's human, but, just because she's a faunus doesn't mean she's not human, though. I loved everything about this, the way that they handled this, the way that they handled the fallout from Adam's death. It wasn't a happy moment. I immediately went from celebrating to crying. Sorry, because Blake made me cry, because I felt so bad for her. I was like literally celebrating Adam's death because I was like, yes, finally, and then I immediately felt so awful for Blake because I was like, oh my god, I can't imagine how she must be feeling right now. But the final part of the chapter is it's just set up for chapter 13, but Oscar swears in this scene, and I was like,
crap.
Yeah, I didn't hear what he said at first, it took me a couple of goes, and I had to turn on the subtitles, actually, because I thought he was saying crap, but he just said it so weirdly. He was like, crap! I was like, what is he saying? Crabs? Like, I don't understand. But yeah, Oscar, wash your fucking mouth out. Jean is the only one here to be like, oh, what about Yang and Blake? We can't leave without them. Yes, what about Yang and Blake? Well, there's things going on right now over there. Don't worry about them. They'll sort themselves out, I'm sure. I don't know how they're going to get back without Bumblebee, though. Like, it's probably a pretty far walk.
Well, I've talked about this with my sister, is like, Yang does still have a working scroll. Like, she can be like, hey guys, found Blake, Adam's here, we killed him, big deal. Hey, could you come pick us up?
That's true. Yeah, I wonder if they'd think to do that.
Well, they don't have an airship, so...
Crap isn't technically a swear word. Crap is a swear word. What do you, like...
This is when?
It is. Any exclamation that is, like... It's a swear word. Like, I can't fathom the idea that it's not. It's not a particularly bad one, but it still is in that category. It's
like low tier swear.
Yeah, low key. It's on the same level as damn, you know, crap, damn, bugger. I would say bugger is a swear word, but like it's not, you know. So, the Leviathan. Yes, the Leviathan Grim. So
I'm surprised they called it that, honestly.
Yeah, I was surprised at the name too. And it's literally Godzilla. Let's not beat around the bush. It's
calling it
Shark
a kaiju.
Godzilla.
It is, yeah. It's like a megalodon crossed with Godzilla. That's what it is. They're not even trying to like pretend that it's not. Or at least I hope they're not trying to pretend that it's not. Initially, when I saw the Leviathan coming up, I was like, I mean, that thing's huge, but that's it. And then it pans up to all of those flying Grim, and I was like, well, they're fucked.
Yeah.
That is a lot of winged Grim. And like the only previous sort of experience we've had with flying Grim has been at the start of this volume, and then also in the Fall of Beacon, there were griffins everywhere, and they seem to have a pretty rough time with the flying Grim, because obviously they're a bit harder to pin down, and they're harder to hit, and just, in general, they're harder to fight than a ground Grim. So they're gonna have a bad time with all of those flying Grim around. And obviously the ground Grim wouldn't get through the Argus's defenses, so, and this big wall all the way around the city, so, the guy that's like looking out at the Leviathan and just goes, it's amazing. But yeah, gulp, damn straight. You guys are in trouble. Now I blame Cordo 1,010% for this happening, because she's the one causing all of the panic in Argus. But having said that, Team Ruby just took out the only weapon capable of fighting the Leviathan, so that was not clever. Yep. And like, I love that they realized that when the guy on the intercom is like, "We need you," and then the whole team is like, "Oh, shit."
Yeah, she's gonna take.
She's over there going like,
"Yikes!" So I don't think they're gonna be able to free the mech somehow, and if they do, the cannon's not gonna be functioning.
Yeah, well.
So,
that works into my prediction that I made last week, even that like what's going to end up having to do is they're going to have to like cut off the arm. They're going to have to deal with the arm that can't move now. Maybe they'll use that last missile that Maria talked about and make it so that way at least it can go one arm fight the thingy.
That is a big whoops. And yeah, as you mentioned earlier, I think it was Dodge that mentioned it earlier, but the score when the Grimm show up definitely really reminded me of the score in Volume 3 when Kevin showed up for the first time. Definitely extremely similar. Kevin is the Wyvern, if you're out of the loop. But
I found out that people in the fandom hate that nickname. Or there are some people in the fandom. I saw it the other... I saw people the other day being like, "Ew, you're one of those people who refers to the dragon as Kevin," and I'm like, "Why? It's funny."
I saw a poll. Thanks for the host, Lisa. I saw a poll on Twitter, like at the start of this week, to name the Leviathan, and one of the options was Kevin, and I was like, "Kevin's the Wyvern. That doesn't make any sense. The other options were Larry, Bob, and something else, and I think Larry was winning. So, I mean, appropriate. Larry the Leviathan. Sure, let's go with that. Because we need to name the Big Grim, apparently. Hey, Lisa. Oh my god, the title. Yeah, blow up the mech's core when it gets close enough, just like Gypsy Danger. I have not seen Pacific Rim, but, you know. Elena named it Steve.
If you've seen Pacific Rim, you'd understand why I was calling that thing a kaiju. That's what it reminded me of, Pacific Rim.
I have not seen Pacific Rim. But, yeah, and, oh my god. Chapter 13, I can't wait for Chapter 13. This is gonna be huge. This is gonna be epic. So, I like Lenny. For
Ooh,
it was Lenny.
I like Lenny.
Sorry, it was Lenny, not Larry.
Oh,
Lenny the Leviathan.
Yeah. Lenny, yes. I think that was winning on the poll. So, yeah, most appropriate name for him, I think. Yeah. So my biggest prediction I'm going to make for Chapter 13 is Ruby Silver Eyes is going to play into this somehow. I don't see how else they're going to take out the Leviathan because thing's huge. Like, it's big. Yeah, Ruby could always use her eyes and go, Perseus.
Perseus.
Yeah. Like the Medusa head. I mean, her silver eyes are going to play into this somehow. That is definitely a big grim, though. Oh, the last time she turned a grim of that size to stone, it knocked her out. But I dare say that Lenny is bigger than Kevin. So, and Lenny's definitely bigger in mass than Kevin. It is a fucking huge grim. And then there's all of those flying grim to worry about as well.
Absolute
and,
unit.
How many other huntsmen are there in this town? Because they're going to need all of the huntsmen they can get. I wonder if the one from the first chapter is going to show up.
Oh, God.
Oh, him? Oh.
Is he D or is he Dudley? I think he's Dudley.
Dudley,
yeah. D
D's
died, I think?
Yeah, D's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I wasn't quite sure. I was like, did he die or not? I don't...
Pacific Grim. Larissa! Get out of
the
chat! How dare you!
All made it
I love
horrible fun.
That's gonna be a fucking yikes from me. No, that's awful. The Ark family and the Nikos family, yeah, a bit concerning.
No.
Don't even go there. Yeah.
I've said it ever because we talked about this when there were people who said that they foresaw one of the Kata arcs dying this volume, and I went, no, they will not bury their gays. No, they won't do it.
No, they're fine. They'll be alright. We might see them in Chapter 13, but I don't think they're going to be in any kind of too serious peril. So, how did you just spell Barbara? Yeah, Ninja. Good gracious. Maybe Adrian could unlock his semblance and save his moms from the grim. Don't mess with red-haired mom. See, she's got red hair. Oh, we need to talk about this. The red hair curse strikes again. Adam is a redhead. He is now dead. So that makes 4 dead redheads now.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah, Penny, Roman, Kira, and Adam were all redheads, and they are all dead. And the only characters that have died have been redheads. Are there any other characters that have died that were not redheaded? I don't think there were.
I mean, nobody that wasn't like a secondary
Sienna
character.
But she was in it for all of 3 minutes, so she doesn't count. D doesn't count.
There was that huntsman in episode 2 of volume 4.
Dead huntsmen and bandits don't count.
Vernal. No, Vernal is a major character.
Yeah, Vernal was the only one. She was a brunette, but every other dead person.
Oh, Lionheart.
Lionheart.
Oh yeah.
Fuck him. Seriously, who cares? But yeah, Ruby is more Red Dead than Rockstar Games. Yeah. Nora. Yeah, I'm really afraid for Nora now because she's like the only one left. Her and the redhead woman are the only 2 redheaded people left in the show that are alive. So I'm like, don't touch Nora. You're not allowed. Oh well, Ruby has red hair, but she's the main protagonist. She's fine. Do you think she'll halfway die? I don't know.
What does that mean?
Nora almost got killed by the Knucklevi, and she almost got killed by the mech, so she's definitely been in peril more than once. She was a redhead, but she was on the chopping block, yeah. Yeah, so the redhead curse strikes again. I don't know what Ruby has against redhead people, but be afraid for everybody who has red hair. Summer Rose, good point. Redhead, also dead. Well, red/blackhead. I don't know. We haven't really seen what she actually looks like.
Weird.
But Nora will live forever to protect her man. Yeah, goodness knows Ren needs it.
But Pishin asked earlier if we saw on Discord, I cannot pronounce the guy's name, theory about Ren, about that Ren would like supercharge his semblance to protect the city and die in the process, was basically the gist of this guy's theory.
Yeah.
I
don't think that will happen.
No.
I mean, it's possible, but unlikely.
I'm definitely getting... There's been so much callback and so many parallels drawn to Volume 3. I'm feeling like the finale is going to be on the same vibe. People are going to get hurt. Bad things are going to happen before this wraps up. So... fucking 5 of them don't have any aura, for goodness sake. I don't know how quickly aura recharges, but not that quickly. They're literally gotta go fight Grimm now, so... And Crow's injured, and, like, Ren's the only one, really, who is fine. Ren and Oscar. Maria's eyes are kind of,
Kooky.
Yeah, big gooky. I also love the way her like left eye like spins around after she says, "Don't tell me I missed it," and her eyes just like skits it out. She really needs to get those repairs as soon as possible.
Honestly, the two characters that I'm like have the highest likelihood of death are, I think, Maria and Cordovan in the next episode. Like,
they're not gonna get rid of Maria. People like her too much.
I know, but that's almost why. That's almost why they would do it.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I don't think they'll get rid of her just yet. She hasn't really completely served her purpose. She hasn't really taught Ruby anything about the Silver Eyes. But I don't know. I think I think she'll be around into Volume 7. I don't know about beyond that, though.
She won't make it. She will die in Volume 7 if she makes it there.
I think
or something will happen. Maybe she'll die of old age. Wouldn't that be nice?
If she dies already, I'm going to be really upset because I really like her. I don't want her to go.
I know.
She adds such a nice dynamic to the show.
Yeah.
She needs to stick around for a while.
I would give Crow 3rd place as well for a chopping block.
Yeah.
But then again, Crow's had a fucking target on his head since Volume 4. Like,
for a while, yeah.
Bitch just won't die.
He literally, like, almost died of Volume 4, and since then has been like, nope, psych, bitch. I'm still here.
He's bypassed a lot of death flags.
He has, yeah.
He's gonna run out soon.
And I did say from Chapter 1 that I thought Crow was on the chopping block this volume, just because of the intro. But the intro makes more sense now, having seen the volume. And now I think less so, but yeah, Lissa, he always wears those goggles. That's his thing. That's Jerry's thing. Cordovan's almost a given for me. I don't know that Cordovan's gonna go down. I want her to get a fucking bitch slapping from Ironwood. Really bad.
I mean,
I want to see
Ironwood
this season.
They're just gonna do that like redeemed in death thing, and she's gonna like realize her mistake about, like how she needs to protect the people, and she let her hubris get in the way and let me deal with this Grimm. You guys escape.
Nah.
Blah.
I wouldn't appreciate it.
I don't see that happening. I don't think her character's very redeemable. I think she's just meant to be an irritating antagonist, and that's what she's doing. If you're right about that, though, I'm going to be pissed off. But just to let you know in advance, I don't think she's gonna die. I don't know necessarily that anyone's of like major significance gonna die in the finale, but definitely I feel like they're gonna stress us out the whole way through it.
I don't want anyone to die, but I'm like, okay, these are the people that like, could die, so that way like maybe they leave our people alone.
Yeah, well, the very fact that I'm like, I don't think anyone's gonna die in the finale makes me go, people are gonna die in the finale. It's gonna be death is going to happen. I expect an Ozpin return for the finale. I expect him
Yeah.
to
I don't
pull
want-
himself back out of that corner he's been locking himself in like a little bitch and actually face what's going on. But been a while since we got some death. Adam
Literally had one last
just died! Adam was literally just run through and fell off a cliff. What show are you watching? That wasn't significant! Are you kidding me? I've been waiting for 5 volumes for that bitch to die. Are you kidding me? I hated him ever since I met him. I've wanted him to die for 5 years. I'm gonna forget him already. No, I won't let you forget. No, I will not calm down. Adam just died. Come on. But yeah, I feel like because they just got rid of like this massive villain. Something bad is coming the protagonist's way, definitely. I heard that with the volume turned down. But yeah, anyway. We're probably going to wrap this shit up pretty quickly here. But any more predictions for the next chapter?
Yes, so my predictions are they free the mech arm, and then they all go off to... I don't know how it fit Yang and Blake into this, I'll be honest. So they're just kind of not there.
I think they're going to stay at the sidelines.
But they free the mech, and then they and Cordovan go off to fight Lenny. And I don't know. They deal with Lenny, and then Ruby does some kind of silver-eyed something or other, and then right as Lenny's going down, a couple of airships come overhead, and it's Winter with some forces to help deal with all the Manticores, and Winter wrests control back. And then she gets them access to Atlas.
I'm with you about Winter. I do want Winter to show up and kind of help out. And surely, like, Atlas must know what's going on at Argus base right now. Surely they must have some kind of, like, connection going on there that, like, blips back to home base when something bad is going on, for reinforcement's sake or whatnot. Was black, yellow, and red all over? God, I don't want to ask. Is Team Ruby is coming?
Winter is coming.
Yes, hopefully Winter is coming. But as far as
I mean, if for no other reason, it has to just be that maybe word got back to Winter that Weiss is in Argus, and she's like, "I'm coming for my sister."
Maybe, yeah, it's possible. I want Winter to show up. I would love if Ironwood showed up. Because, again, these are characters we haven't touched base with in a long time. We need to touch base with Salem before the volume closes, otherwise it's going to feel a little weird if we don't.
Yeah.
And
we'll get some, like...
We need to touch base with Watts and Tyrion as well. Maybe, possibly. Like, even if it's just one shot, we need to touch base with everybody in the finale before the volume wraps up to kind of get a sense of where everybody's at. Because if they close the volume without touching base with everyone, it's going to feel like, okay, well, where are they?
Yeah, I think they'll pull a volume 4 in that respect. That it'll just be a bunch of like little quick shots of of everybody and give us a slight clue. What do we think that the post-credit sequence is going to be? Do we think that will be Cinder and Neo, or do you think it'll be something else?
I really don't know.
I don't know. Maybe Winter Maiden or Ironwood or something. Maybe Jacques.
I don't know.
Maybe even Salem
Could be anything.
herself, actually, honestly.
I think I'll have a better idea once I actually see the finale, but I really have no clue.
I mean, you'll have a very good idea when you see the finale, because you'll see it.
I mean, I'll think about it in the credits. I'll think about it while the credits are playing. Maybe. Depending on what happens in the chapter, I might be too distracted. I mean, we saw Winter in the Weiss character short, though, Ninja. Even though technically that was a flashback. But, where's Seo and Ninja? Seo and Ninja, wow. Neo and Cinder! I cannot speak. Yeah, we need to touch base with everybody, even if it's just one shot, showing them, okay, these people are here now. There's Emerald and Mercury to think about as well. There's Hazel. We need to touch base with Salem. There's a lot to wrap up before the volume ends, so hopefully the last chapter is nice and long to kind of fit everything in without cramming it in there. I'm guessing it'll be Cinder and Neo, but maybe during the credits it's Winter's return as they enter the destroyed military base. They don't do scenes during the credits typically, so you don't count character shorts. Well, that's your problem, because they exist. Yeah. What was I going to say? I don't know. Fucking
Cinder Neo post credits.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what the post credits is going to be. It always seems to be something I don't expect. So.
Yeah.
Usually a curveball, honestly, at that point.
Except for last season, that was just. Well, that was honestly just continuity.
That honestly just it was continuity, but also that just caused more issues than it really needed to or should have with the fandom. That just caused more people speculating about shit that's just not worth speculating about. Bye, Alyssa. Have fun on the corner. Remnant will be wrapping up here shortly.
I hope that they don't pull a post credits with Watson Tyrion meeting Ironwood. We already got that with Lionheart. I don't want them to do it with Ironwood.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't see them doing that. Also, like, no way, Ironwood's not going to have a bar of that. Like, I don't think he's a bad guy. He just makes a lot of questionable decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Train of thought is gone again. Wow, okay, that's... Great.
Plus, it doesn't even fit in with his, like, Tin Man motif.
No.
Where, like, the Cowardly Lion made sense, but, like, the Tin Man was, like... What the Tin Man needed was a heart. So, like, if anything, they just need to give... As Bishop says, they need to give Iron Daddy a heart.
He just needs a hug. That's all he needs. He needs a hug, and somebody should be like, stop, get some help. But, you know, yeah, so I don't know. Ruby tends to do things that I don't expect all the time. So I'm trying not to go into the finale with too many expectations. I just want to make sure that they touch base with everyone before the volume ends. And obviously we know there's going to be a big fight with all these Grimm. But we'll see how it all unfolds. Yeah, but I'm going to be mad
I don't
if
think
the
we're getting
runtime
a
is
cliffhanger.
anything less than 25 minutes. So...
Yeah, I think I will be too.
And that's
especially
like
considering they
time.
Combined 2 episodes together. Like,
well, I mean, chapter
Fish
2...
better be 45 minutes long.
Chapter 2 was 25 minutes long. So, chapter 3 was 25
I was about to say
minutes.
Chapter 2 was not
Chapter 3.
25 minutes long.
Chapter 3 was 25 minutes long of exposition. So, we better have a fucking 25-minute long finale. I don't see how else they're going to wrap all this up in time. This is not going to happen. Unless they plan on ending it on a cliffhanger, which I hate. If they end this on a cliffhanger...
Which will be unfortunate.
I will hate it. If we're getting another
we will
song,
definitely be getting a new song.
Probably, yes. I would say so. Jeff Williams and Casey have been killing it with the soundtrack this volume. I've honestly been surprised at the number of songs that have been in the volume, because last volume there was a distinct lack of it. And I think they heard that criticism from there being such a distinct lack of songs in the actual volume, and they've really pulled together and managed to do it as much as they possibly can in this volume, which I love and I never want it to end. I'm not reacting to Gemlock, AC. I already announced that on my Twitter.
I will be.
Cory will be. I'm not.
I'm going to be busy tomorrow. It's going to be a busy day.
I'm not reacting to it just because I feel like my reaction to the first episode probably won't be that interesting, because all I'll be doing is watching the episode and like study. trying to pay attention. So I'm not going to react to Genlock at all, also because it is first exclusive. So the like situation with reactions is still not been worked out for Genlock. So yeah. I can't be bothered with that mess. It's already hard enough reacting to Ruby as it is. So it's already a mess with Ruby. So you know, I'm not going to react to Genlock. I can't wait for tomorrow. I can't wait for chapter 13. I'm so sad Volume 6 is ending already. For another year, the show's going to be over, but I'm excited to see the chapter. I'm really excited for the future. Volume 6 has been incredible. Ruby has done a phenomenal job with this volume, and I can't wait to see how they wrap it all up. Please don't be a Volume 5 finale. For God's sake, please.
Anything but that.
Anything but that. I think they have learned a lot from Volume 5. More than any other volume, they have learned significantly from Volume 5. And they've looked at Volume 5 and gone, let's not do that. Let's be better. Which I didn't hate Volume 5 at all. I thought it was solid. It's just had a couple of questionable bits, and then the ending was kind of naff. But I don't think they're going to do that again. And if that article is anything to go by about this being the biggest finale of RWBY to date, and also Neith Ohm tweeted earlier in this week that the big things that he said were coming up for RWBY hadn't happened yet after Chapter 12, so...
Oh, yeah.
I'm expecting big things, so... and for Ren's voice actor to say that, I don't know how privy he is to the story in its entirety, but... And I know Barbara and Aaron are both really excited for the upcoming episode. Kim Newman's excited for the upcoming episode, so... Everybody's hyping it up, so it better be good. Yeah, so one thing for Volume 7, new outfits for colder weather. They will definitely change attire for Volume 7. Especially now that Blake's lost a coat. I feel like that's them going, okay, these outfits done. We've had 3 volumes. We're moving on to something else. So I'm really excited for next year when they do RTX and when they do New York Comic Con, showing off the concept designs for the girls and everybody else. Probably we'll only see Ruby Weiss, Blake and Yang, but I'm excited for winter attire.
Yeah.
I
did want to bring up.
Get them out of here.
I want to bring up that earlier. I think it was Dodge asked about the credit song. And I saw a tweet that somebody posted that they said they want another like Bumblebee song for the end credit sequence, and Casey liked the tweet. So
I mean, that means nothing.
That doesn't mean nothing.
That means nothing.
But
at the same time, I would also like not a song like Bumblebee, but maybe something softer, maybe sadder, for the two of them in the credits. I don't foresee a rock song in these credits, interestingly enough.
They usually tend to try to do kind of slower songs for the credits, I feel.
Well, I mean, what was last year's credit song?
It was the Brotherhood. I can't remember the name of it.
This time?
Yeah.
And then before that was Armed and Ready. But Volume 3's end credit songs were Divide and Cold.
Cold. I was thinking Cold, yeah.
So they had
I forgot that Divide was
and
before
then they
that.
had Cold. They had an excerpt from Cold as well. So I'm expecting maybe a slower song for the credits this year. Red Like Roses Part 3. We're not getting Red Like Roses Part 3 because we ain't even had From Shadows Part 2 yet. Or I Burn Part 2. So Ignite is kind of I Burn Part 2, but it's not. Sacrifice was Volume 2, Wings was Volume 1. Yeah, so Wings was a slower song as well. So, and
forgot about that.
Yeah, I love Wings. It's still one of my favorites.
Plus, also, I feel like just, especially with how much they've been pushing out songs in the volume, it might just be easier for them to do a slower song for the credits because it's slightly less technical.
Involved. Yeah, it is slightly less involved. I mean, I would love to ask Alex Abraham about that next week, but I have a feeling he's not going to be able to tell us shit. So, he's not going to be allowed to tell us anything. But yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the score actually before we wrap up too much, seeing as we have Joe here. So, because
good thing I paid attention to the score.
Well, the score and the soundtrack. Let's put it that way. I've been really impressed with the soundtrack so far this volume. I think that when the soundtrack does come out, it's going to be probably my favorite so far. But I say that every year, but like it keeps getting better every year. That's the thing. Jeff and Casey as artists and the RWBY soundtracks in general keep getting better every year. So I'm really pumped for the episode scores. Yes, especially chapters 11 and 12. Absolutely phenomenal score work in those chapters. So I'm really excited for the score for this year. And I'm excited to get to work on fight scenes with score videos as well, because, Adam fight, though. I cannot wait to do that.
I think 2 particular episodes are the best score in the entire season. That would be episode 1 and last episode. The music where they're fighting in the beginning of the premiere episode when they're fighting on the train, absolutely beautiful music.
Yes.
And then the entire score during the whole fight with Adam and Blake last week was absolutely brilliant.
I also really enjoyed the score at the start of chapter 3 with Casey's sort of vocalizations and I liked the motifs in that chapter as well. I'm just trying to think of other significant score moments.
I mean, I keep thinking of chapter 6, but I'm like, wait, but there was like the thing that made that creepy was that like the lack of score throughout a lot of that.
Chapter 6 did have a significant lack of score. Yeah. The only parts that really had score were the apathy parts, and even that wasn't like really overly complicated score. It was the score was not trying to they weren't trying to do anything fancy with chapter 6. For a lot of it was completely silent, which is what made it so strange and so creepy. The chapter 7 Grim Reaper fight, yeah, another amazing score moment. Really, really awesome score for that fight. The full Blake and Yang fight, starting with Blake up in the tower, theoretically. I will get back to you on that, because I will need to hear the actual full score on the soundtrack to know what I've got to work with. Because a lot of the time when I make the fight scene and score only videos, the score that's on the soundtrack is utterly different to the score that's in the episode. And I have to edit the shit out of it. Like, they're literally so difficult to put together.
Unused cues.
Yeah, they will mesh pieces of score together, they will leave pieces of score out, and it drives me insane. Like, it's so hard to edit those. So yeah, I'll have to get back to you guys on how many videos I'm gonna do and of what. So yeah. Yeah, soundtrack's been amazing so far this volume. I'm loving the amount of songs that we've gotten in the actual volume during fight scenes. It's been so good. Oh, my favourite one is the one in the Neo and Cinder fight.
Yeah.
Definitely. Crap, what's it called? One Thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's my favourite so far of the songs that we've heard.
I like Forever Fall.
Oh,
but that's
no,
also
don't
because
get me started on Forever Fall. I'd already forgotten about it.
I know, that's why.
Which one was Forever Fall again?
The one that
It's
played
the
in
Pyrrha.
the Pyrrha chapter.
Oh god. Oh. Yes.
We only heard so little of it, but I'm like, that's going to be the song on the soundtrack that I will sob the whole way through it. And I plan on reacting to the soundtrack again because you guys liked me reacting to Volume 5. So I'm just going to cry the whole way through Forever Fall. There's no way that doesn't happen. I'm going to sob like a child. So I'm looking forward to hearing the full version because I know it's going to be beautiful, but at the same time, it's going to break me. And I won't be able to listen to it. Oh my god, Forever Fall, yeah. But my favourite has definitely been One Thing, just because I know that Forever Fall is going to be so heavily emotional. Even the tiny little bit I heard of it in the chapter was making me cry, so that's just rude. But yeah, One Thing is the one I'm most looking forward to, because I love the idea of a Neo song.
This isn't Dead by Daylight.
I know, shut up. A Neo song. And I love that fight scene too, and I can't wait to work on that video either. So I kind of almost forgot that had happened this volume. A lot has happened in this volume.
Yeah. I know. It's like, it's so weird to think that like we learned about the history of the world this season. It's like, God, that was ages ago.
It's interesting because this volume has a shorter runtime than Volume 5, and I think Volume 4 as well. But they have crammed so much into that runtime. Like, chapters 10 and 11, I was surprised with how much they crammed into each of those chapters when they were like 14 minutes long, 13 minutes long. I was like, wow, they've managed to fit a lot in that 13 minutes. So, yeah, I feel like they're going to continue that trend and cram as much as possible into the finale. But it's nice that they've been able to cram a lot in there without it feeling like it's been crammed in there. The pacing has been phenomenal this volume. They've really kept it going strong with the pacing. There's only been one chapter where it sort of slowed down a bit, but it was appropriate for it to slow down.
Yeah, I was going to say, because it's chapter 4, because it's my least favorite of this volume.
Well,
but
I mean, chapter 4 and chapter 9 were both points where it slowed down significantly.
Yeah, but that thing is like chapter 4. I don't know. I just didn't like because of how like wrap up-y it kind of felt and stuff, and like it did kind of change the pace.
Chapter 4.
Whereas chapter 9, it was slow, but it kind of needed to be slow for what its intentions were.
Yeah, chapter 8 was also a little slower, but again, coming off of chapter 7, they hit a brick wall, so the pacing was going to change there. But chapter 4 was doomed right out the gate, though, because it had to follow chapter 3. So I feel bad for chapter 4 having to follow that. So, and of course it was a shorter chapter, and then they would just spent the whole chapter sort of dealing with everything they just learned. So it was never going to be a great chapter because of what it had to follow. So, and chapter 9 was really emotional. Yeah. It was aftermath the episode, essentially.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, listen, I still like chapter 4, so like for it to be my least favorite says a lot.
Yeah.
Like
there are no bad chapters this volume. None. None of these chapters were bad. They were all good. They were all solid, and a lot of them were fantastic. There are only a few that I wouldn't put on the same level as the rest. Mm-hmm. But
it was like a necessary kind of thing.
Yeah, and chapter 4 was, as I said, doomed before it even began. So, yeah. But just, oh my god, this volume's been amazing. I cannot believe the difference between Volume 5 and Volume 6. Just absolutely incredible work from the Kruby. And it's not even over yet. So, like, oh my gosh, I just can't believe how good it's been. And, like, the finale was so solid. It's probably the best finale of any of the season. The premiere. It was the best
I was like, why are we talking about
the best premiere of any of the volumes, easily. And, it started off so strong, and I was like, it's probably going to peter out, but it did not peter out, ever. It just kept going, and it just kept getting better, and it kept getting bigger, and they kept doing better with it. And the writing this volume, yeah, it feels like a different show. I agree. It does feel like a different show. Their quality jump, just phenomenal, in the writing, in the animation, just in everything in general. Volume 5 still had some questionable fight scenes, especially Blake versus Ilya. I don't like that fight scene at all. But in Volume 6, I'm like, nope, there's no bad fight scenes. It finally happened. We had a volume with no bad fight scenes. Woohoo! We've been waiting for this since Volume 2. I mean, even Volume 2 had some bad fight scenes. Like, the finale fight in Volume 2 was especially shocking. That was not good. But the coffee bit was pretty good. But the rest of it was bad.
Yeah, the Team Ruby bit was a little bit like slash.
The Team Ruby bit was pretty horrendous, if I'm honest. And then let's not even talk about Volume 3. Well, Volume 3 had some of the best fights in the series. It's because those fights had Monty's animation in them. And the rest was just not up to scratch. But now they have definitely come into their own. The animators know what they're doing with the fight scenes. They know what they're doing with every character's different fighting style. And there were no bad fights in this volume. This is the only volume of Ruby where there has not been a bad fight scene. So, I hear a lot of people give the mech fight criticism, but it's not bad. It's just the kind of fight that it is a lot more difficult to choreograph and to animate and to navigate than, say, a one-on-one fight. It's and it's not bad. It's totally solid. It just...
My only issue with the mech fight was just, like, the teleporting around of things, but, like... But, like, in a fight this scale, that is just unavoidable.
Yeah, that mech is a huge ask from the Kruby. Like, that thing... When I first saw the mech pop up, I was like, that thing's a fucking technical nightmare. Holy shit. And now we've got the Leviathan coming into the picture as well. And I'm looking at that thing and I'm going, that thing's a technical nightmare. Like, and we have these two massive technical nightmares in the same chapter. So I'm like, holy hell. If there's anything wrong with anything in the chapter, I'm just gonna forgive them. Because I'm gonna be like, there is so much to do with the finale. I'm gonna be amazed if they've managed to pull it together without any questionable things going on with the animation. So yeah, I'm just gonna let it slide because I know I can see, like, when I see a big thing like that in animation, I can see all of the work that goes into making that thing even be on the screen. So, like, holy fuck, I would not want to be in Kruby's shoes right now. Fuck that. I didn't like the Volume 2 coffee bit either. I think that was the best part of the finale. The rest was kind of naff, but you know. But yeah, I mean, like I said, first volume where there hasn't been a bad fight scene, so it's really good to see. And it's set the bar for Volume 7 incredibly high. So I feel a little like
nervous
bad
about
for them
7?
that they've set the bar so high, because now if Volume 7 doesn't come out the gate really strongly, we're gonna be like, ew. Like, it's not gonna be great. But I have a lot of faith in Kruby after this volume that they're gonna pull it off. Definitely. From here on out, I feel like they have reached a point now where they absolutely know what they're doing. So yeah, and it took 3 volumes to get there, but we got there. Restored your faith. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So anyway, we need to wrap this shit up because we're overlapping the corner of Remnant.
I know. We literally have like basically been done talking for the last 20 minutes, and we've still managed to talk about like nothing.
Scrapping on. Don't mind us. So thank you so much, Jerry, for joining us for the Boopcast once again. Make sure you check out Jerry on his socials. He is developing an RPG called Palacio Quest at the moment, which looks really good, and I'm super excited for it. And I would love to maybe stream it when it comes out. That would be amazing. I don't know. We don't have a release date yet, do we, Jerry?
No.
No.
Okay, so there is a demo out right now, which can be downloaded. Yeah. And then I'm working on the demo B, which is going to be like 3-4 hours long. But I'm just working on getting assets for it, and you know, not struggling under my schoolwork. But you know, I'm looking for spring at the very latest.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, don't hold him to that. Like, development's hard, you know? It's difficult. It takes a long time, especially when it's just you and a couple other people, maybe. But it looks amazing so far, and I'm really excited to play the second demo when that comes out. So but anyway, thank you guys for joining us for the Boopcast. Make sure to check out Jerry on all of his socials, and check out his Ruby Orchestral Battle covers on his YouTube and his SoundCloud. And we will see you next week for the finale episode with Alex Abraham. Is going to be rejoining us again, which is very exciting. We always love having him on. And oh my god, I can't believe it's about to be over.
I know.
Definitely go ahead, if you are new here, definitely go ahead and join the Discord so that you can join in the discussion of the finale after it comes out tomorrow in the Ruby Volume 6 chat. And we'll see you then. And I think we're going to raid the Corner of Remnant, seeing as they're live once again. While we're still live, so I think we will do that. So we'll just quickly prepare the raid, and I'm going to wrap up the podcast and run the credits. See ya, everyone!
The credits?
The credits!
The credits!